This is MMA Oddsbreaker. Okay, moving on to the third fight from our Oddsbreaker segment. Comes to us from UFC on Fox 4, which takes place August 4th, 2012 from Los Angeles, California. Another headlining bout between Brian Stann and Hector Lombard. Now we're going to start off with Maddie first this time. Maddie, another pick'em type fight, but I am going to open up Lombard minus 120. The comeback on Stann is going to be minus 110. Give me your take, give me your bet.
I actually wore my Greatest American Hero t-shirt in honor of Brian Stann, for those who remember that show in the 80s. Luke is probably too young, but it was a pretty funny show. But seriously, this is a guy who's only lost to Chael Sonnen and Phil Davis in his last 8 fights. He's 4-1 since moving to middleweight, with his only loss coming to Sonnen. He's coming off a first-round knockout of Alessio Sakara on April 14th in Sweden, which was very impressive. Now, everyone knows Brian Stann's story. He's a former Marine. He even backed off Sakara once he knew he was out, and that move alone made a lot of headlines, as a lot of people respected him, and he's just a guy you can root for. Hector Lombard, on the other hand, he's the Bellator middleweight champion, and that's about all I know about him. He was supposed to make his UFC debut at UFC 78, but had visa issues in Cuba. Now, he has not lost since 2006. He's 24-0-1 in his last 25. My big question is, who has he fought? Now, I saw Michael Bisping even was pissed off that Hector Lombard was jumping right into the mix, and I agree with him. I like Brian Stann in this one.
So Maddie is going to lay the slight juice again, almost pick 'em odds, minus 110 on Brian Stann. So it's going to be 550 to win 500. Now let's get Luca Fury's take. Do you agree or disagree? Brian Stann the play?
I agree with him. Hector Lombard, he is on this incredible run, but he hasn't really fought anyone good. The best guy in there is Alexander Shlemenko, and he's probably maybe like a top 30, top 40 kind of middleweight. So really, Hector Lombard hasn't fought many good guys in the last several years. The best 2 guys he fought, he lost to. And Brian Stann's going to be a big test for him. I like the matchup, and I actually favor Brian Stann in it. You know, Hector Lombard, as good as his striking is, he doesn't really set it up. He just kind of charges forward and lunges with overhand rights and uppercuts and left hooks, but he doesn't use a jab well, doesn't really use footwork or angles. And Brian Stann, we saw him fight a guy kind of like that in Chris Lieben, and he ended up knocking him out in the first round. So there could be a potential for Brian Stann to do something similar to Hector Lombard, but if the fight goes past the first round, Hector Lombard has shown very poor cardio, always slows down considerably after the first 5 or 6 minutes. And I think if he doesn't knock out Brian Stann in the first round, Brian Stann's either going to knock him out or win a decision. So I put my money on Brian Stann. I like the price at about even money.
Okay, so both of our experts agree. Luca Fury is also going with Brian Stann. It's going to be 550 to win 500. And again, we're going to see probably Stann line climb up a little bit, but I wouldn't necessarily count Lombard out. And that will take place again, UFC on Fox 4, the headliner.
Well, that's it for another episode of MMA Oddsbreakers. You can look for the odds that Nick broke right here on the show to start popping up at the sport books throughout the coming week. And a big special thanks to our 2 guests, Maddie Simo and Luca Fury. Thanks again, guys. A lot of great information.
Also, make sure you check out our new website, MMAOddsbreaker.com. And for all the latest show updates, make sure you follow us on Twitter at MMA Oddsbreaker. For Miguel Iturrate, I'm Nick Kalika saying until next time, enjoy the fights.